Jobs stall. As David mentioned, President Obama wants action from Congress on jobs. He also wants action from Congress on the deficit. They are taking the latter piece of advice, not so much the former, and that is a problem, and it's going to be a continuing problem. This economy needs more jobs. It needs the government to step in, but all of a sudden, Congress has gotten religion on spending.
Because there is a lot of debate about how much that stimulus bill actually has done for private sector job growth. If it was unabashedly successful, I'm sure he would have more support in Congress for this. It's never too early. Well, it actually may be too early for this, folks, but it's never too early for us here to talk about a Des Moines Register poll of Iowa Republicans. We see a poll out of these primary voters that voted in this last gubernatorial primary in Iowa. Mitt Romney out on top with favorability ratings at 62%, followed by Sarah Palin at 58%, Newt Gingrich at 56%. It's obviously purely name recognition, but it also is a big reminder that if you are a no-name, John Thune, Mitch Daniels, they're not there yet. They could sprout up to the front like that. No doubt about it. This is also a wider universe, Rick. These are not caucus goers. These are primary goers. So Mitt Romney may not want to take too much satisfaction in the fact that he's on top.
It is too early, first of all, but also being number one is difficult. It is a tough spot to be in because people are going to be aiming for you from the very start, and the start has already happened. California craziness. Yesterday we told you about Carly Fiorina and her open mic moment. This time it's Jerry Brown, the former and would-be future governor of California, who actually made a comparison of his opponent, Meg Whitman, to Hitler's propaganda minister. Now, we like to talk about lessons for candidates. I think one of them is don't make any Hitler comparisons. Maybe don't even say the word Hitler.
Right. Probably should just be completely banned every time it enters the political lexicon.
It's never good.
It's never, ever good for the person who said it. And finally, document dump. Yes, it is a Friday, and yes, 40,000 pages are to be released from the Clinton Library of Elena Kagan's work when she worked in the White House in the 90s. We have still, in all of these documents, not seen a smoking gun here for Republicans to sort of derail her nomination. And our latest ABC News Washington Post poll shows 58% of Americans are in favor of the Senate confirming her, which is about the average level of support for successful nominees in recent years. I have no doubt that the hearings will be good TV. This dog continues to be a dog that doesn't bark.
I think that's exactly right, but you misled the viewers by saying that was the final top line. For the first time ever, we have a fifth top line today, and it is fond farewell because my co-hosts of the past year plus, David Chalian, our political director here at ABC, this is his final program, and I have had the privilege and the honor of sharing 15 minutes of every day with him over the last year plus, and it has been my pleasure.
Our favorite 15 minutes.
Our favorite 15 minutes, and sharing some of those minutes with us today is none other, the one and the only Sam Donaldson, has had many titles at ABC, one of which was a co-host of Politics Live, along with my friend Mr. Chalian here.
Well, as the grand old man last century of this program, I'm here to plead with David. Is it too late? I mean, are you really gone?
That's very kind, Sam. I will miss it. I have loved it. But let's get to the news and the politics here while we have you, Sam. Well, let's start with the president and his sort of stepped-up response this week in terms of the BP oil spill. You saw him use tougher language with Matt Lauer on the Today Show at the start of this week. We end the week learning he's going to have a sit-down with the BP CEO, Tony Hayward. Is he now demonstrating to the American people that he is in command of this crisis?
Well, the tough language, he now wants to kick some like that. And I'm thinking about poor Joe Biden when he turned away from the microphone and said, this is the big, are we going to hear that word from Barack Obama? It's not authentic. He is Mr. Cool. He's no drama Obama. For him someone told him, get out there and show your anger. It's going to consume you otherwise. So he goes out and uses that word, and we say, that's not him. Boy, you're right about Hitler and all of this. If you start being somebody else, Arlen Specter, you don't do very well.
And that's the interesting thing here, because the White House said from the beginning, look, if the president needed to shout from the top of the White House, he would. Well, he started doing that shouting. He's hauling Tony Hayward into the White House next week. He's going down for 2 days next week. It seems like they are responding to this pressure that you're not doing enough, you're not being aggressive enough, but they still want to distance themselves from those perceptions.
And it's a mark of what television has done in the last several decades, and that is we now expect our candidates and our office holders to emote. Bill Clinton took us a long way. Feel our pain. Show that you really care. Don't sit there, the smart guy, try to solve a problem. Get in there and tell us how much you love us. Well, heck. If you love me, solve the problem. You don't have to tell me. I'll catch on to it.
But we saw with President Bush after 9/11, that bullhorn moment standing on the rubble there.
Another a good example.
These are the things that the American people sort of crave for their theater because they need to see that commander on TV. I want to turn your attention to the White House briefing room and to that front row. Obviously, somebody you know for many, many years, Helen Thomas. Her career came to an end this week. She announced her clearly forced retirement from this controversy that she got in. And it just, to me, irrespective of the Mideast politics that she was involved, it just seems like a sad way for her career to end.
It's very sad. I think the body of her work is such, particularly for women, without people like Helen, they wouldn't have gotten so far so quickly in our business, but for all of us too. But you know, there are two narratives in the Mideast. One says, our ancestor King Solomon had a temple right here 5,000 years ago. We've come back, having been displaced throughout the world, and we've had a homeland. And the other narrative says, yeah, you kicked our ancestors out who've been here for 1,000 years and displaced them and occupied the territory. Now, Prime Minister Fayyad, who I name dropping, saw last week along with Israeli people in Israel from the Palestinian Authority, he says the right of return is not negotiable. Well, he's not going to get it. But that's an acceptable way to say, hey, you kicked my people out and you occupied and we want back in. It's unacceptable for Helen or anyone else to use that kind of hateful language.
Yeah, I mean, again, memories of Holocaust. We don't need to go there. Tuesday's elections. We had another big election day. This is such a fascinating political year. It's no 2008, as we all know. But 2010 is a lot of great storylines. One of the big winners, a lot of folks say, out of this, Sarah Palin. Another big winner on the other side, Bill Clinton. Are we seeing? You think they'll be the two most popular folks out there on the campaign trail on one side or the other? What do you make of that?
Well, I don't know. Sarah Palin explicitly endorsed 4 people. One of them lost. The other 3 won. Carla Fiorani won. She had poured millions of dollars in. It's arguable that maybe that's what, Terry Branstad, of our 4-time popular governor, came on back, beat 2 other opponents, got almost 50% of the vote. It's arguable that he might have won without her endorsement. And now we come to Nikki Haley. She was behind when Sarah Palin endorsed her. And then all of a sudden 2 guys came out of the woodwork and said, we had an extramarital affair with her. And all of a sudden she shot ahead and is in a runoff, but clearly it looks like she's going to win. Now, was it Sarah Palin's endorsement, or was it women in South Carolina saying, hey, we want equality from the standpoint of standing, we don't endorse this, but we're for her?
Definitely seems like we saw some backlash there. Sam, when you look at the environment overall, though, midterms are sort of their own little beast, but this does seem to be a more volatile political environment than we have seen in many, many years.
I think that's true, and of course the conventional wisdom, be careful of conventional wisdom, folks, is that the Republicans will pick up massive, may even take the House, and maybe a shot for the Senate, although it's so far. And I just wonder about that, because the conventional wisdom last Monday, I subscribe to it, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone else. Hey, Blanche Lincoln's going to lose by about 5 points. They forgot to tell Blanche and the voters. So she won. Okay. So I'm not quite so certain that this environment where we see from the last 2 elections that we've all paid attention to, diverse messages. Specter did it to himself. Blanche went into a runoff because she did it to herself. It's not just incumbency. I'm not so certain it's going to be that way in the fall.
And so much of this year is going to be a judgment on President Obama. How have you seen this president evolve over the first year and a half of his time in office?
Well, thanks to Nancy Pelosi and some others who saved the health care reform bill, he came back like Lazarus from the political dead. But at the moment, I think the book is still out on him. He may have some more accomplishments. The Wall Street regulatory reform bill, which is kind of toothless, but it's better than nothing. I don't think he gets energy, although he may get some oil-related energy because of this.
Not the big environmental bill.
But I think it all depends on his re-election. The economy. Stupid. It could be morning in America again. I hope, not because I'm for him as a partisan, but because I have a little stock portfolio I'd love to see come back.
Sam Donaldson, the great newsman of ABC News, thank you very much for being here on the last day. I appreciate it.
I'm going to miss you.
And we love to see you come back anytime. It's always
an
honor and a privilege. We love having you.
Here.
We love having you on the show. Indeed. Thanks so much.